Guys, let's talk about Blonde, and this is gonna be a little bit different than my usual reviews, but let's go ahead and talk about it. And hey, if you're new to the channel, welcome in. This is Geekly Goods, where we talk the latest in movies, TV, Marvel, DC, y'all any corner of the geekverse we can hear. We here on the channel, so go ahead and hit that big red subscribe button down below, and let's talk about Blonde. Starring Ana de Armas, directed by Andrew Dominik. We got to talk about this because I will admit I am not a big fan of most of this movie. I will say Ana de Armas did put on a very hard to look away performance. She did do a stellar job in the sense that it kept me in the movie, and I definitely was gonna stay and stick through the 2 hours and 45-minute runtime to complete it for Ana. I respect her as an actress. I think she contributed the only good to this movie. So let's talk about the rest of it, guys, because I think this movie wants to comment on exploitation and it actually contributes to it. The scenes and how it portrays Marilyn feel very exploitative. That's a weird word to say. Feels a little disrespectful. Feels like it's not necessarily trying to show us that she had a harsh life, whereas it just kind of threw it in front of us and didn't really do much to bring us into her struggle. There's not really an overarching story here. The movie literally just moves around. There are just scenes really strung together, edited pretty poorly, cutting away from scene to scene, to the point where at some points when I'm watching this movie, I'm like, is this Venom 2? With all this heavy cutting that's going on, scene jumping, scene cutting off, going from scene to scene, it's so jarring. And we go to these many different parts of Marilyn's life without a nice through line to tie things together. It's very scrambled and all over the place and just goes toward different parts of her life. And like I said, instead of commentating on exploitation and how it really was hurtful to her life, it really just almost propped her up like a piece of meat, as if it was like, oh, look, here we are, Marilyn Monroe. Oh, Ana de Armas is Marilyn. Look. Instead of commenting about how bad that was and how that really hurt Marilyn deep on the inside, it exploits her even more. So I don't think this movie really helps us understand and really brings us into an empathetic mold of Marilyn Monroe. I think that the story is just really non-existent. Ana's performance is good, but the editing is so bad. Guys, the cinematography, there are some extremely over-the-top shots. My friend Josie Melendez, shout out Josie, she had a great comment that it looked like a Calvin Klein commercial. And I have to agree, it definitely looks like it's just some kind of high budget, cheap cologne commercial. It just doesn't look like it's a movie. And there's these weird sequences where it feels like I'm maybe in a cheap action movie or in a cheap sci-fi or horror film. And I'm like, isn't this supposed to be a biological or like a biographical drama, fictional drama? Like, no, we wanted to dive into this psychological horror type. In some instances in the movie, there's like horror type-esque aesthetic, and it just doesn't work for me. This ain't a horror movie. It's very hard to watch. And it's not hard to watch because, like, oh, you feel for Marilyn. I do, and you know, as viewers we do, but the movie really just like props her up as a piece of meat. It's almost like the movie's not trying to help Marilyn and say good things about Marilyn Monroe. It's trying to prop her up as a piece of meat as well. And it just is not tasteful really at all. It's just not a tasteful film in my opinion. It feels disrespectful. After watching that, I felt like somebody just punched me square in the gut. And I know that this is fictional. It's based off of a book. So it's not quite accurate. Let's be real. It's not quite historically accurate. It's based on a book that is fictional. I don't even want to read the book. I was thinking maybe, hey, I can read the book after. I walked into this thinking, okay, what are some things I can really learn about Marilyn? What are some things and some vulnerabilities we can see Ana portray on the screen, and some things we can really learn? And we learn some things about Marilyn. We see, and it's clear that behind closed doors, she had a very difficult life. And that to me was just not tastefully done. It was almost like done for entertainment and shock value instead of giving you empathy and educating you on how harsh Marilyn really had it outside of modeling glamorous life, the glamorous outlook that we see her for, the posters, the movie roles, the singing, diamonds are a girl's best friend. What about behind the curtain? What about behind that? And instead of doing a tasteful exploration of what was really going on and the struggles that were really going on, it's a lot. In this movie, easily one of my bottom 10 of the year. Again, it's not tasteful. It feels disrespectful. It feels just like, what if Marilyn Monroe watched this movie? What if she was alive and she could see this movie? Would she approve? Would she feel like this is contributing positively to her image? Because it doesn't feel that way at all. And there are these very exploity and weird scenes surrounding the president and at the time JFK and the rumors, and a very odd sequence there as well. I just think this movie in certain times tries to say something and it just hangs Marilyn in front of us to see naked, and it just doesn't do that. It just doesn't do that, guys. I won't dive too deep into the POV shots, but I thought maybe it could have been a tasteful thing. No, not really. Nope. Again, it doesn't make her image look great. So I'm just not really impressed with this movie. I really did not like it at all. I think that it feels disrespectful. It feels exploitative. And like I said, there are a lot of scenes, a lot of nudity, a lot of naked scenes, a lot of just scenes, like I said, that feel disrespectful and that feel like they don't contribute anything to a positive image of Marilyn Monroe, anything to an empathetic image of Marilyn Monroe. These scenes are not even necessary. If you want to take us into, her mental psyche and what maybe was going on and how hard it was internally, there are tasteful ways to do that without so much nudity and without hanging on and so much of this classlessness. I'm at a loss for words because story-wise is pretty bad. The script is even pretty bad. Like, there's some bad and jarring lines in the script. It's not edited well and not paced well at all. It's 2 hours and 45 minutes, and let me tell you, it reels you in and makes you feel like you watched a 10-episode series. I'm like, dang, did I just sit up here and watch a season of Stranger Things? It really takes you and holds you hostage. And the cinematography, so bad, so cheap, so over the top, these weird glamour shots that just don't belong in a movie like this, in my opinion. And if you want to get creative and tasteful, that's cool. It just didn't work here. It was a clash. It didn't work. Guys, I was not a fan of Blonde. And hey, I'm not judging anybody that was, but I was not a fan of Blonde at all. I thought it was disrespectful to Marilyn's image. I thought it was exploitative. I thought it did not do a tasteful job of bringing us into who Marilyn Monroe was deep down on the inside. Even if that's a fictional telling, give us some good empathetic scenes. Like, we just didn't get that. And I can't fathom why they wouldn't try to make this a little better. But guys, you gotta let me know your thoughts down in the comments. If I had to give a rating to Blonde, guys, I'm going a 2.5 out of 10. And I'm only giving that 1.5 extra point because of Anna. And if it wasn't for her, that would be sitting at a 1. Y'all, let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Are you looking forward to Blonde? Have you seen it? And if you have, let me know. Am I just going crazy? Or what I'm saying adding up? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. And if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button for your boy, and we'll see you next time on Geekly Goods.